Well, good evening, everybody. This is Keith with Positively Osceola for another coffee club moment here with Positively Osceola. A good friend of mine, the most patient man I have ever met in my life. You have no idea what I'm talking about, but it's the truth. Happy Jay Polachek. How you doing, Jay?
I'm well, Keith. How are you this evening? Thanks for having me.
I'm well, and I'm glad that you are extraordinarily patient tonight. The people will never know. They will never
we made
know.
it. We made it through.
I'm telling you, technology is our friend, and then maybe not always, but so it's good to hang out with you. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of I didn't because we were having so many technical fun moments. I didn't get to tell you I was gonna play something as our official start, but we'll just talk as friends first. So always great to see you. It really is. Thanks, and the cool thing about being a part of a community for a long time is you get to have friends that you get to hang out with, and we may not get to see each other all that often because we're all busy, but it's always cool to see you, man. So I appreciate what you do in the community, brother.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Well, let me play this little thing that makes it official. Hopefully you click the right one. So and after that we'll kick it in and we'll talk about what's going on tonight. Here we go. Much cooler than I am, no doubt.
Very cool intro.
No.
I like it.
Much cooler than I am. So, we could sit here and talk for honestly for hours. Talk about what are happening here tonight to talk about something that you're doing right now, a new venture, and I personally think is a great idea. Why don't you tell people what you're doing right now?
Well, back in May, a new company that my partner and I started, we were awarded one of the first hemp cultivation licenses in the state of Florida. And as of 10 days ago, we planted our very first crop right here in Osceola County. So we are officially growing hemp for CBD here in Osceola County.
So when you say that, we kind of had a few moments to kind of briefly go through this, but at the transition house, and we talk about the crisis that's not just Osceola County or Central Florida, but throughout the entire nation, which is the opioid crisis. And so when the first does that? Can you hear me?
No, I can't. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's on my end or not.
It's all good. So, what hits me when you talk about growing hemp in the area for CBD purposes is that we've had such a struggle with opioid crisis. So, how does that address that particular crisis?
Well, over the last, I'd say 3 to 5 years, there have been just numerous studies done about the benefits of hemp and CBD for some of the main ailments that people, doctors, were prescribing opioids for 10s and 20 of years: depression, PTSD, epilepsy, aches and pains. I mean, it's all natural. It comes straight from the ground, straight from Mother Earth. No pesticides, no herbicides, no insecticides. So you're going to see. I firmly believe as the years continue, opioid use can just rapidly declining. I really do.
Mm-hmm. And so spell out a timeline for us, how that's going to look from your perspective, as far as whatever you're going to be able to provide for the community.
Well, like I said, we just planted a test crop, about 1,700 plants, 10 days ago. We've got seedlings that are 4 to 5 inches tall now. We plan on harvesting this first test crop by Christmas. And then our goal is to do a sizable grow in the spring, late February, early March is our timeline. From there, once again, it's a 3 to 4 month harvest, and we're also looking at becoming extractors and processors of the plant. And at that point, we'll be able to produce our own oils and products and have our own retail line.
So I got to think that one of the first questions people ask is, okay, so how do you separate when you're growing the actual product? How do you separate what is a CBD result or what is something that's cannabis based that's not medicinal?
Well, the first thing that we do is we make sure that the seeds that we buy are approved by the state. They ran a pilot program for a year and a half, and there are certain strains that we are allowed to grow. That's what we're growing now. Hemp and cannabis are basically the same plant, except for one big difference. Hemp has less than 0.03% THC in it. THC is the main component of cannabis. We are continuously testing. We've got a third-party testing agency that comes in and samples our plants to make sure that we are within the guidelines. And since this came out, I can't tell how many people have come up and said, "Can I get high off hemp?" And you can't. Not what we're growing. There's just no way. There are trace amounts of THC, but not enough to register.
It's kind of an amazing thing, really, if you think about it. We're probably somewhat in the same age group to some degree, and it's taken so long for us to get to the point where this is acceptable. I mean, where you see CBD everywhere, and what hit me today when we were in August, if I had the choice, if I have a physical issue that CBD would help, I've got to believe that makes sense to do this locally. I mean, I know you personally, and so, I mean, I'm thinking, okay, please do what you're doing, Jay, because I want to look at somebody locally and say, how do I get products from you? So how is that going to all spell out? How are we going to, at some point, how will we, be able to procure what you're doing?
Well, like I said, I would hope that within about 2 years, you'll see Florida Fresh Hemp CBD products on the shelves.
Gotcha.
We're taking it slow, baby steps. I've been in the nursery business for almost 20 years. My family has been in it for almost 40 years. I grew up in it. I've grown plants for a long time, but I've never grown hemp before. It's new territory for me. So far, so good, but there are a lot of obstacles and roadblocks that I know that are coming, which is, once again, why we decided to go small with our first grow. We want to make sure we know what we're doing before we go to a much grander scale. But we certainly have plans to grow to a sizable production in the coming years.
Do you think that Florida is going to keep in the place we're at right now, mostly in what you're talking about right now? Do you see us changing statute-wise and loosening up, additionally past CBD levels?
I'm sorry, what levels?
Well, I guess right now we're talking about, growing what you're growing and, create a position. Do you see in the years ahead, do you hear anything changing past that? And I know California, I guess, is it California? Other states have loosened.
There's about 28, I think it's about 28 states now that have legalized marijuana, either recreationally and or medicinally. My own personal belief is probably between 2 to 4 years. Nationally, they'll deregulate it, and it'll be legal nationwide. Sure, you can get your card. You can buy marijuana here in Florida legally. We could apply for a permit. That's how we got into hemp. When back in 2015, we were looking at the cannabis market, and when Florida's once it finally passed, and we talked for months about whether to try and get a cannabis license. And we met all the criteria, but Tallahassee's really made a mess of it. And when it came right down to it, the federal government could come in any day to any of these producers in Florida and shut them down and take the operator straight to jail, just on a whim.
Right.
So we've decided, it's not worth it until it goes legal nationwide.
Sure. So then the big win is if you have, addressing the issues that hemp or CBD oils really do address, which is, I think maybe a year or so ago, maybe that people were still kind of questioning whether that CBD really hacked on physical issues, and I don't think that's an issue. I think it's real now. People get it. It's a real deal. The opioid crisis has been terrible. We have not been able to fix that challenge, and I think that this really does address it. So for me, like I said, I think in a local setting, that's a really big deal for Osceola County and St. Cloud area to have somebody who we know and can trust that's really producing that kind of a situation locally is a big win.
Right. I mean, I believe so much in it. I have my 93 and 94-year-old parents on it. They take it every day, and their aches and pains have lessened. They sleep better. Their doctors are on board with it. So I'm a full believer of it. I really am.
Excellent.
And one of the other things is we wanted to do it in our local community here in Osceola County. There are going to be jobs available in the near future, and we wanted to try and do that where we could go anywhere and grow it, but we decided we wanted to stay right here where home is and see what we could do to help the community a little bit by bringing jobs in.
Well, let's see if I can share a few pictures we have going on right now. Let's see here.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Got a few more rules.
Yeah, like I said, these plants are when these photos were taken were less than 10 days old, but they're growing like crazy.
So experience in this whole scenario has been very helpful to you as far as growing. So right there, that's only 10 days old?
That's probably less than that. I think that picture was taken over the weekend. It was 7 days old.
That's amazing.
I mean, we joke about it, but there's a reason they call this plant weed, because it grows just like one so fast.
You're right. No doubt. That's very cool, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing with us. We had a few tech issues early on, but I'd have you come back in as things continue to progress, and not to make light of it at all. My mom's 89, and I know there was at some point you hit that point where it's very challenging for somebody to take more. The medicines can be can be dangerous in itself, and so it's great to have a natural solution. And I appreciate that you would come in and talk about what you're doing, man.
Sure. Just the one last thing that I would leave you with is it's not a magic bullet. It isn't. You take it once, and all your pain or all your depression or you're sleeping like a baby every night, it's got to build up in your system, much like other things. But if you give it time and you take it, you'll definitely see a difference in your life. I believe.
Great. Very cool. Well, I appreciate your patience tonight, sir.
Absolutely, Keith. Thanks for thinking of us and having us on. It's been a pleasure.
You bet. Let's keep talking about it. So you think it'll be a little while before we actually come back and talk about it again? But I appreciate your help, Jay.
I think we could do it another month or month and a half, and I think it'd be fun to show what we've got.
You got it. Let's do it. All right, man.
All right, bro. Thank you.
All right.
Be blessed.
Thank you so much. Keith with Positively Osceola, along with Jay Polachek, and together we're making a positive difference in and around Osceola County. Have a good night now.
You too.